In today's episode, we're speaking to Simone Milas. Simone is a best-selling author, self-made multi-millionaire, creator of Joy of Business programs. As seen in Forbes, Huffington Post, Mindvalley, and many other media outlets, Simone is an innovative business leader, best-selling author, and a global speaker. Simone's capacity for wealth creation catapulted her from $187,000 in debt to being a multi-millionaire with a thriving and diversified portfolio. Let's speak to Simone and find out how she changed her life by changing her mindset. Let's find out. Welcome, welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today I'm so excited. I'm speaking to the beautiful, the wonderful, the charming Simone Milasas. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Gokhan.
Thank you so much for being a guest. Simone, everyone's heard your intro. They know how fabulous you are, but please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
Well, I am an access consciousness facilitator.
Wow.
I have been working with access consciousness for about 24 years. I know I look so young, but I have been. And I'm going to say, gosh, I've done so many things. I quite often refer to my life as I've lived a very colorful life because I definitely think I've been there, done that, including a lot of, I guess interesting, dodgy things over the years. I've always lived a very adventurous life. I'm here in Croatia at the moment in Opatija, and I've got a class here. And it's funny, I just went hiking today, and I was like, we get so familiar with life. And I think we've got to always put ourselves in a situation where we can question and where we don't know what's next, literally what's around the corner. So I think that's the way I've lived my life, like my entire life. I do get the sense that I've been really different.
Mm.
And I've tried to fit in and I've tried to do all of that and I don't fit in. So I guess I gave that up quite a few years ago. And yeah, here I am now. It's like I'm very grateful for my life.
Wonderful. So, Simon, talk us through how did you start your journey? It was 24 years ago, but you do look very young. So you don't look a day over 21. So I would say, yes, it's shocking that you've been doing it for 24
Well,
years, but that's probably part of the process. So talk us through how did you get involved with this kind of work? What led you up to this? What was your journey? Because I believe everyone who's doing this kind of work has been on a journey themselves and they
oh,
didn't come here, they were led here. So talk
yes,
us through your journey.
I absolutely agree with that. And I think we seek something different. And I knew that I was seeking something different. I'm going to say probably about 16 years of age. You're at high school and everyone's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to study? What are you going to be? When are you going to get married? And all these questions that I went, um, none of that. Like I was like, this can't be it. And that's literally what I used to do. I used to be at home and I was one of those people who was told I was a dreamer, but I was just looking outside the window going, this can't be it. There has to be something else. There has to be something else. And so, I tried so many different things, but I just knew that there was something else. So the two things that I found, I guess, made my world lighter. And when I say my world, I mean my reality, like where I'm choosing to live and be, was one, I wanted to travel the world. I knew I
Mm.
wanted just to see the world, like, and not just sightsee, like be, in different areas and meet different people and different cultures and all of that and more. I was very interested in seeing the world. And the second thing was I was really interested in business. I don't know, I was just always watched my dad. He was a chartered accountant, but he was also an entrepreneur. Like you know, growing up, we owned a butcher shop, then we owned a picnic table shop, then we owned a, importing clothing business from India, like all these different things that I watched what he did. And it just had this excitement to me. And I always thought, you know what, I think you can change the world through business.
Mm.
So it was sort of the two things that I started looking at. And people used to say to me, what sort of business do you want to have? And I'm like, I don't know yet, but I just know that business can be so malleable and you can create whatever it is you desire in the world through business. So then I went off and, started traveling the world as soon as I could, like as soon as I could. I worked so many different jobs so I could, you know, put money in my pocket and travel overseas. And I was definitely a poor traveler. I was a backpacker and, eating rice and soup and, you know, making that all day and doing all those different things. Like I definitely had a lot of adventures. But one of the things I did have was a lot of time. And so I started to write, and I would watch and I would observe, and then I would write, and we would travel, and I camped all around Europe, and I would keep writing and writing. And for me, one of the things I looked at was, what would it take for people to be more vulnerable with each other? Because I saw, you know, like when two kids meet and they're like, hi, and they don't care how much money they have in the bank account, you know, what their name is even, you know, what their culture is, their religion is, or anything. They just got this energy of, do you want to play? And I was like, why can't we be more like that? So I wrote this whole piece on vulnerability. And then, you know, I did many, many different jobs, but I started this business called Good Vibes for You. And for me, it was about, I designed t-shirts and merchandise and had, you know, different sayings on it. Things I'd had discussions with people traveling around the world, and I'd be like, ooh, and I'd write that down, and I'd write that down. Some of them were famous quotes, like a Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world. But there was others that as I met people, I would talk to them and I'd be so inspired, and I would write something down, and then I would put it on a t-shirt or a sticker or a magnet. And so this business grew a lot. And I just had this concept of, how can I change people? How can I change the world and the way people be with themselves and be with others through this, right? So to an extent, it works. But then I met at a festival I was doing, I met Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness. And I listened to him talk, and I just went, oh my goodness, this guy is talking about everything that I want to create in the world. So, you know, I went and listened to him talk. And then, of course, I jumped on a plane as soon as I could to go to one of his seminars in America. And then here I am 24 years later, and I'm a key part of Access Consciousness and thoroughly enjoying it. So I just kept seeking and kept choosing.
Oh wow, you just given a whole lifestyle, life form in about 2 minutes. So let's unpack this a little bit. When people around you were saying, I want X, Y, and Z, I want to get married and kids, and the pick, you know, the white picket fence kind of dream. When you stood out and you said, well, that's not my dream, you know, how did your family respond to that? How did you, you know, react to it? How did you accept being the black sheep or the outsider or the different one?
Yeah, good question. And can I just say too, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there isn't. There isn't. It's just not
Yeah,
your
yeah.
dream. There's nothing
No,
wrong with
I
it.
know, but it was it when you go, I guess, against what everybody else is choosing, most people seem to make something right or wrong. And what I've discovered over the years is most people would rather be right with their choice rather than just choose and have a freedom of choosing. Because I've chosen plenty of things that I was like, oh, okay, maybe not my smartest choice, but you know, here I am now. So I was very lucky. I had my father, who passed away about 12 years ago now. He was incredibly empowering, and he was always like, Simone, this is your life. You need to choose it. I will be here for you, but you need to choose it. I had pretty much the antithesis with my mother, who was like, you need to choose this so I'm not embarrassed. You need to do that, you know. So I had very different parenting. I was always wrong in my mother's eyes, and my father was like shrugging his shoulders, going, Simone, you're so wild. I'm here. What else do you need? Sort of thing. So he let me discover me, and my mother was very much telling me what I, you know, should do. I remember at one point, you know, she was talking about I should get a good, safe job, and I was definitely a petulant, you know, teenager and hands on hips, and like, I literally said this, I'd rather stick needles in my eyes than get a good, safe job. Like, you know, I did the fight thing. And I just kept choosing what worked for me. But there's one thing I learned really early, and I don't know how I learned this. I learned to shut up. I learned to not tell everybody what was going on for me, because I don't recall exactly, but there must have been something that showed up in my life where I was talking about my dreams and talking about how I saw the world and talking about all of this. And my sense is nobody could hear me. So I stopped talking about it. And I did that with a lot of things, even in business, because at one stage my brother was studying accountancy and my father was an accountant. And I had all these ideas, and I would start talking about it, and I'd realize it's like I've lost them. I've now gone into the I'm crazy category, and they're like, Simone, you've got some pipe dreams there. So I learned to just be quiet and shut up and not talk about everything, and then just keep choosing. So I'm really grateful for however I learned that tool, but I did. So, because I thought not everybody can hear what it is that I'd like to create in the world. So just shh.
I mean, that's probably one of the most powerful lessons you can learn for everyone across the
Yeah.
board. And it's not because other people wish you harm or are jealous, or I mean, I'm not going to go down the negative route and say people are just mean and horrible and then they're jealous of your dreams. It's the fact that people don't understand your dreams. They don't understand your aspirations. They don't understand who you are and how you're connecting to the universe and what your purpose is. And I think when we tune into our intuition and we really do what we're guided to, where we're living our true purpose, that's going to be different. It's going to be unique. And that most people will fail to comprehend that fully. And they will stop you and discourage you, not out of malice, but out of genuine love and concern that you're going down the wrong path. Don't do this. Take the safe path, take the job as your mum had done and so forth. So I think it's a very important lesson. And I've learned, and I'm still learning, I have to say.
Oh,
So,
me too.
so I still have to know when to, because I get excited, like, oh yes. So I would keep quiet as much as possible. And then someone asked me one or two questions. I'm like, yeah, and then I want to do this, and then this. And I'm like, oh, be quiet, girl. You're going too far. Shush. And so I'm
Yeah.
still learning to be, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you, as much as you want to, you cannot even share your true dreams with even those closest to you, like your spouse, like your partner, like your children, like your parents. It's not because they don't love you or they want something bad for you. It's just sometimes, or most of the times, if you are living your true purpose, that's not their purpose. And therefore, they cannot fully understand what you are doing, what you're
Yeah.
going for. So I agree with that. That's a concept. That's brilliant.
I'm going to comment. I mean, I think you're being very kind and nice here too, because I'm sorry, but I have had some really mean people show up, and I've had my
I have
fair.
to. I have to say, I choose to
Yeah,
say nice things.
I know, and my like, thank you for being kind, and that's been a big lesson for me to get as well, because I've had my fair share of vilification. And
Yeah.
there was a TED talk that I listened to with Brene Brown, and there's this one piece in it that I thought was so brilliant, and it's helped me a lot. Is she said, if you're on stage, you will be judged, not
Yeah.
if, you will
You
be
will be judged. 100%.
yeah.
Agreed.
And so you will be judged, but she said, I want you to have a look at who's judging you.
Yeah.
And and she talks about the people in the crowd sort of eating their popcorn and judging you. And I had, at one stage, this was years ago, I was worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness for 18 years, right? And this was right at the beginning, and I was like just waking up every day just like, oh, this is amazing, because we were in 4 countries and now we're in about 180 countries, so it's growing a lot. Okay, and I was a very big part of that growth. But through that, there's been a lot of people who have not liked that.
Yeah.
This is gold. This tool is, I rang Gary Douglas one day and I said to him, hey, I don't know if I can do this job anymore. And he was like, okay, talk to me, what's happening? And I said, I can't handle the judgments. And he was like, okay, tell me what's going on. And there was these 3 women who I considered my friends, and I kept hearing all this stuff that they were saying about me. And at that moment, I was prepared to let go of everything that I loved, everything I was creating, everything that sort of matched the energy of what I knew was possible in the world, based on these 3 women. And I love that Gary didn't say, don't do, he didn't tell me what to do. He said, I want you to have a look at something. I was like, okay. And he said, I want you to have a look at the life that you're creating. I went, okay. And I just paused for a moment and I was like, okay, look at my life and everything that I'm choosing and everything I'm creating. He said, now I want you to have a look at their lives and what they're creating. And I was like, okay. And he said, are they judging you, or are they judging what they have not yet chosen and might never choose?
Wow.
And it was
Wow,
brilliant.
that is brilliant. Can you just, I think that is so profound. I would like you to repeat it. It really
Sure.
is so, so, so
It is,
profound.
because it's not also about, because I didn't want to judge them back. I was like, no, you guys get to choose and I get to choose. Why can't we just all choose and be okay with that? But I think, Golkan, you and I would like to live in some utopian ideal world that we go, yay, you know, and unfortunately, there's a million, billions of really beautiful people out there, but there's also a lot of not nice people. So, okay, so he said to me, I want you to have a look at your life, look at their life. Now, I want you to have a look at, are they judging you or are they judging what they have not yet chosen and might never choose? So with that, I went, huh. And I have used that tool over and over and over again because I continuously choose more. My life is amazing. I am so grateful. I'm successful, all of this. And it's also not enough. Like, and not enough as in like this.
There's always more to grow. There's more to
There's
achieve.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
agreed.
always more. It's like I have 3 books out. I'm about to, after I finish with you, I'm about to start, you know, finalizing my 4th book. I've got more ideas. I'd like more. Like there's so much more I would like to choose and create and actualize here in the world. So yeah, so that tool has helped me so much because one of the things, as you were saying, is, and you know, we started off about, you know, just being quiet, shutting up when people can't hear you, is I found that there's a couple of things. One is, as you mentioned, it's not their dream. They might not get it, right? But the second piece that I've noticed is the more undefinable you are, the more you freak everybody out. Like,
100%, 100%. They can't pigeonhole you. You this,
yeah,
you're that.
yeah,
Because you may be a bit of everything and you
yeah,
may be a nice person on top of that, you're
yeah,
not arrogant. How can you be rich and not be arrogant? How can you? So they have to find
yeah,
things about you which
yes,
helps them fit you into some sort of
yeah,
square or box feel, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed this years later when I was choosing different, okay, let's put it like that. Like, and at one stage, you know, I was in Sydney and I was working and I had this business and I was importing and exporting from India, Nepal, Thailand, you know, and I had this successful business and I was working on the weekends at the markets and I was selling stock and doing all this and wholesaling. And then one of my friends who was in corporate said, when are you going to get a real job? And I went, what? And I was like, oh, everybody just looks at me as this, as someone who's not actually choosing, like it is sort of being like a drop kick. I guess that energy of like, now I'm in the market. And I went home and I looked at it and I went, wow, should I be working in corporate or doing something? And I looked at the money I was pulling in and I went, I know I'm pulling in at least 3 or 4 times more than them too. I was working very different hours and very odd hours and long hours when I was working, but I was really enjoying what I was doing. And, you know, the first book I wrote is called Joy of Business. And I wrote it because for me, if you're choosing what's bringing you joy, it's going to create something different. So that was my sort of first indication. And I had a few friends who would go, oh, Simone, you wouldn't usually do this, or you usually do that. And I went, wow, these are what I'm calling my friends. And we all have a definition of what friendship is too. And they're saying what I usually do and usually don't. And I was like, it's not allowing me to change. Like sometimes, you know, what I choose today, I might not choose tomorrow. I like the fact that we can choose, you know, we can literally change our mind and we can pivot and change the trajectory of our life. And for me, I would like that more and more for myself. So that again is one reason why I just boop, and just be quiet sometimes.
I'm going to add something to it because while you were talking, I noticed something that happened recently. So with me, it was not. I mean, I love business, and I'm a, you know, in the true sense of in the case of the word, entrepreneur, and I will try all different things.
Mm.
Now, some things I fail, some things I succeed in. It's all part and parcel of the journey. You know, I'm not here to say I'm multi-billionaire, I'm so successful. Oh, I fumble all the time, 100%. Okay, but I'm always trying. I'm always trying. Always trying.
Yeah.
So all I think about is business, all the various forms of business, you know, this and that and whatever. And because I have multiple businesses, I'm constantly, if not thinking of one business, I'm thinking of the other business. The only time I'm not is when I'm thinking about my kids or my cats. So which is in between, all the space in between. So there's hardly any time for anything else. And something that was said to me recently by one of my kids when we were having this parent-child, you know, argument and da da da. And it was funny when I noticed my kid saying to me about somebody else, because this is the person who is, you know, she's living at home and on benefits and so forth. No judgment, you know, it's your choice. I choose to work and I choose to do things. You choose to live home and benefits. It's your choice. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't choose my friendships based on that either. How it was, I never thought that that was an issue for that individual. She said that person, she referred to this as a person, you know, all you ever do is talk about business. There's more to life than business, and and etc. And I looked back and I thought, huh, okay, okay. So, and I then realized that my daughter was, just because she was angry, she's, you know, referring things to somebody else said, but I hadn't even noticed that the other individual had been judging me all this time. And, you know, said to my daughter, had said how, you know, I am elitist, and all I think about is business and money and how, etc. And I had no clue, like no clue. And that when he just said this to me, I realized, because I took a step back and I asked, I do. It's probably true. I do talk about business, but that's my life. That's what I
Yes.
have interest in. It's my. When I'm thinking about people, I think about wages because I have got the brick and mortar business as well. I think about the properties that I have. I've got all these things that, you know, pieces moving.
Yep.
So that's true. I probably am. So when you talk to me, I won't have gossip for you. I have the next strategy. I have the thingy. And if you give me a problem, I'll find a solution for you. That's what I am. But I'm not going to have anything else to talk to you about. I mean, I'm not into makeup and jewelry. It just doesn't interest me. I don't have the mind space for it. And I thought, and I began to, because it was said by my daughter, I began to judge myself, thinking, huh? Now he just said to me, and I realized, it's not even my daughter, it's that individual judging me. And if I look up on her life, do I want to be living in a one-bedroom flat on top of a, you know, tattoo shop, etc., etc.? And do I want to be doing, you know, and living off benefits and not actually going to work, and, you know, and not be able to provide for my kid? No, I want to be doing the work I do. I've sent my kids to private education. I've given them a bed start. That's my choice. There's no comparison. Not one one's better than the other. But I never judged her. So why is she judging me?
Because you freak them out because you're not predictable.
And we're both single parents. So that's the point. We're both
Yeah.
single parents.
Yeah, I know. And look, it's I mean, it's an interesting topic because, as I said before, I mean, I've just met you, and I get, Golkan, that you are very similar to me in you see the greatness of people, you see the beauty of people, you see what's possible. And probably my biggest fault is I want to go up and shake them and go, oh my God, do you know how amazing you are at this? You know what? This would be brilliant. You could da 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 da, you know, but they're not choosing it. And I think that's really imperative, that you have to let people choose.
100%.
And I will not stop choosing for others, which I have. I've done that previously. I mean, you know, we joke that it's 20, you know, I'm 54 now, and I've definitely, as you said, I've been there, done that. I have fallen over. I have lost money. I've closed companies down. I've failed. I've succeeded. I've made money. I've done it all. But it's not, I mean, in truth, everything that I quote unquote failed at, as this reality would say, or lost money or project didn't go through, that's the greatest awareness I've had. I have gained so much awareness from that, and I've become more of me from that. And one thing I've noticed is I will keep choosing again and again and again. And I used to look at, like, a question I ask a lot of my clients too is, who do you think of before you choose? Because a lot of the times I mean, if I look at when I was a young teenager at school, any of the boys that I dated, I mean, I think this is hysterical now. I used to go, oh, will my friends like him? And if my friends didn't like him, then he was gone. That's like, who do you think of before you choose? Oh, I think of my friends and make sure that he's okay. It's like, gosh, there's no way in the world I would do that now. It's like, you know, or even in the workplace, it's like, if you come up with an idea, like if you are an entrepreneur, which an entrepreneur is, I think, brilliant, and it's got such this, you know, connotation to it of a billion different, you know, definitions and judgments. And yet if you're an entrepreneur, as you just mentioned, you'll do a billion different things. And that's just the beginning. You've got all these different ideas. You've got, whether it's investments or different business ideas or companies, or you put your fingers in every single pie you can, you know, and some of them work and some of them don't work. And because it brings you joy. Okay. And it's like, but if you are someone who is like an entrepreneur, I think you just got to keep going, and you got to keep going, and you got to keep choosing, and not choosing based on what other people think. And unfortunately, I know that you've been all very kind on here, but unfortunately, I think sometimes our closest friends and our family are the ones who don't encourage us. I think they want you to play it safe.
Yeah, I do.
And that's where I learned to be quiet and shut up and just go, okay, and I have found people all over the world who now I surround myself by, and I can talk to and have these. I mean, just today, it's the afternoon. I've had so many brilliant conversations about different projects that we have going on, and I get so inspired, and it's just like, okay, let's go.
Absolutely wonderful. Sounds wonderful. So we're going to wrap this one up. What's your parting advice to someone who is trying to live the life purpose, but is dissuaded or discouraged by those around them, or because it's never been done before? Because you are, and I repeat this again, if you are living your life purpose, you will be out of place, because it's probably a path that's, you know, less well walk down on, because a lot of the people choose so-called safer paths than go down the path which is towards their life purpose. What advice would you give?
Don't judge yourself. It's like, just keep going. And like, even if you can ask yourself the question of, if I wasn't judging myself today, what would I choose? Because we stop ourselves based on judgment, and usually it's not yours. Like, I mean, I quite often look at, if there was no people in the world, what would I choose? If I was just out in nature, what would I choose? We tend to squash ourselves based on other people, and there's some beautiful, brilliant people in the world, like I said before. So stop judging. Come out of judgment of yourself and acknowledge it when you do. Like yesterday, something has showed up for me, and I was judging myself for like 10 minutes, and I went, stop. It's actually getting me absolutely nowhere, because judgment never gets you anywhere. It's like this big black dark hole. So come out of judgment of you.
Absolutely wonderful. I love that. And I love that. So tell us, Simone, how can we find you? Where can we connect with you on the internet?
Well, I have a very good name to Google, because there is no other Simone Milasas that I have found so far. So if you Google Simone Milasas, Milasas, that's my Instagram, that's my Facebook, that's my website, everything. And also on accessconsciousness.com. I'll be on there as well, amongst many other facilitators.
Oh, wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, the links for Simone will be on the show notes. So you don't have to Google, we'll just give you the links for herself, but you can Google if you like. But if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have the links for her too. So it's easier for you to go and connect with her. I highly recommend, after having this short conversation with Simone, connect with her, see how she can help you to live your life purpose, and how she can help you to live a fuller, richer life. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Simone. It's been an absolutely fantastic conversation. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to talk to you on my talkies. But for today, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on here, Gull.
And thank you for listening to me and Simone today on Friday Feature. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.